Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to our webinar for this month. I believe you can all see the screen. So it's a little exercise that we want to do before we get started. So if you will and if you can go to www.kahoot.it and then enter that code on your screen to partake in the exercise or activity. So at the end of the event today, we are going to announce a winner and we'll let you know what you've won. So just go to www.kahoot.it, or you can scan that QR code and then enter this PIN 4132632. Once you are done, you can just let us know by raise of hands, and then we'll be good to go. Thank you. Hi, so I hope we all know what to do. We just have only one person showing up here. Once again, you can go to www.kahoot.it and then you can enter the game pin 4132632, or you can scan that QR code and that should take you there. Okay, it looks like we have one more person inside here. Is it safe to say that every other persons are not okay? Thank you very much, Adiola. So we have Adiola, we have Celestine, we have Dan, okay, Mighty. We just wait for another 2 minutes just to get things started here. We have 4 people already in the one more minute and then we'll start the game. Once again, for this game, there's going to be a reward. We are going to announce the winner at the end of the webinar today, and would let you know what exactly you'll be winning. So it's just to make sure we are all engaged in into this webinar. So I guess we would start the game right now. So we are going to have 3 winners. So just put in your best as much as you can. And yeah, thank you. So I guess we can start now. Is there any other person who needs an extra time to start? You can raise your hand. Okay, we have a few hands up. So we just wait to see if those people can. So what exactly is the challenge? You can unmute and talk right now. What exactly is the challenge? Brightness, Malik. What are the challenges you are encountering? Okay, so we can start then. Thank you.
Kọ́yìn wáyé ń ṣe téèyàn bá bomi sínú bucket èèyàn máa wá láìlọ́ kan èèyàn máa wá dà ní ìdàkúdà èèyàn máa wá bomi
mo ti
sínú
gbọ́ o.
wọ́n máa ti di ọṣẹ tó bá ti di ọṣẹ tán wọ́n máa wá fi sí.
All right. Now the winner have been displayed. By the end of the events, would let you know. I would hand it over now to Dr. Kenneth to just introduce us into what we have for today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samuel, and for that interesting game we just entertained ourselves with. And welcome, everyone. Um, Welcome to the International Youth and Canadian Agriculture Webinar Series. And we are thrilled to have you join us today for this exciting initiative aimed at empowering international students pursue studies in agriculture at Canadian institutions. And AYCA is dedicated to creating a supportive network where knowledge sharing, mentorship, and professional development opportunities flourish. And our mission is simple, but to bridge diverse cultural backgrounds with the rich agricultural landscape of Canada, fostering an environment where youth can thrive academically and professionally. Together, we aim to cultivate a new generation of leaders in the agricultural sector. This webinar series is specifically designed with you, international students in mind, and our goal is to equip you with practical insights and skills that are directly relevant to your field of study. Through the sessions, we'll connect with industry professionals and experts who will share their real-world experiences, giving you a deeper understanding of the agricultural landscape in Canada. And the topics we would cover would opportunities within the industry, and we encourage you to engage actively in these interactive sessions and open discussions as they are designed to empower your career decisions and prepare you for future employment in agriculture. Ultimately, AYCA Webinar Series will play a pivotal role in enhancing your capacity as international students, enabling you to make informed choices and contribute effectively to the agricultural sector as you progress through your educational journey. On behalf of the Board of Directors of IYCA, it is my humble pleasure to welcome you on board today. And thank you for being part of this initiative, and we look forward to embarking on this enriching journey together. Once again, welcome to everyone. My name is Kenneth, Anku, and today I'll be your co-host. I'll be moderating this session along with another panelist moderator by the name Fisayo. She would actually introduce herself as we journey in this series. And today our discussion will be quite very simple, very general. It's actually going to be a conversation. And I believe many of you listening to us this morning, this afternoon, depending on where you're actually located this evening, you might be actually going through some challenges in trying to go through the processes to probably help you integrate yourself into the system here. And today, are going to navigate life as an international student and career path in Canada. It's actually going to be a real talk, a real life experiences from our panelists as they will share their own experiences, challenges that probably they've encountered through the journey. And you are humbly invited to actually share some comments. If you have some peculiar questions that you think we might provide some insight into, you can actually type them in the comment section, and we'll be so happy to actually try to address some of those concerns of yours. And we also encourage you to visit our website, as there are lots of agile opportunities posted on there that could be very beneficial to you. Today, we'll take some time to actually explain some of those opportunities and share them with you as we go. So, as I've already introduced myself, we have another brother who has actually introduced himself by way of doing the first moderation, and that is Samuel. The other panelists are over here, and I would humbly request if they can individually introduce themselves.
Okay.
Hi,
Thank you.
everyone.
Go ahead, sorry.
Ladies first.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, hi, everyone. I'm Fisayo Oretomiloye. I came to Canada 2021 as an international student, and I completed my study 2024. Currently, I'm located in Lethbridge. Thank you.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much. Okay, so Sam, you can try and introduce yourself.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Samson. I'm an assistant professor here at Texas A&M. I also schooled in Canada from 2020 to 23, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The second Sam.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Samuel. I came to Canada in 2015, finished from the University of Manitoba, and right now I'm working in one of the industries here in Manitoba. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So finally, I'll do as the honest. I also came here in 2019, started my program, and then I finished last year. And currently, I'm just a postdoctoral fellow. I'm still in Dalhousie here. So that's just a brief introduction from all of us. So we'll just try and set the ball rolling, unless otherwise I'm missing something. But it's not really going to be something so challenging, but it's going to be a conversation. So I wouldn't want to, like, for the first instances, I'll try and direct some questions to us. But moving along, probably anyone can actually jump in if there is something that you think you would want to add on to a submission from someone. That's very fine. And as I've already mentioned, to our audience, you can actually type in if you have any peculiar challenge, if you have some questions, if you need some more clarification and insights, just feel free and then type in your questions, and we'll try as much as possible to address those questions before we end this conversation. So I get a sense, fine. We've all highlighted our years where we entered into Canada, and then like we went through our academics and we are finished, and then probably working, some have probably moved to other places. But I would want us, like I would want every panelist to probably help us as you share your story from the beginning, how you actually got into Canada. What I mean is how you went through the processes, applying in the first place. I know there are so many options out there. You could go to Europe, but you decided to come to America. What informed that decision? Could you share some of those things? What are some of the challenges probably you faced during your processes, those visa processes? I know sometimes people are not willing to share some of those experiences, but if you would be very kind to us to share some of those experiences as well, where there's some challenges that you're able to overcome during that process. And finally, when you got here, how were you able to easily find an accommodation? I believe some of these steps would go a long way to help some of our audience. So anyone willing, I don't know if I should still go by the rule that says the ladies first. If our lady will do this here first. Just step in.
That's okay. Yeah.
Sure, thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Ken. For me, I think the major reason why I chose Canada was just the quality of education in Canada here. And as at then, I remember the immigration policy as well was kind of favorable, because then if you come to Canada as a student, you can apply together, like with your family together. Your spouse can get a work permit, and on getting to Canada, your spouse can start working immediately. Unlike some other countries that you go there, then you have to wait for a few months before your spouse can join you, or maybe your spouse are even able to join you and they are unable to work. So my major reason for choosing Canada is just that immigration policy and the quality of education and research. And regarding the accommodation part, I think what really helped me was networking. I tried to reach out to my lab mates then, like, because the lab I was thinking of joining, so I tried to reach out to people in that lab, and they were really helpful for me. They were the one that took over the process of all the accommodation and all that. So my advice on accommodation, it's good to use like Facebook Marketplace. But one thing I observed with Facebook Marketplace is, I don't know if you've heard about Facebook Marketplace before. One thing I observe about the place is just the competition, maybe like 10 people might be on one house. But if you have somebody, you can try to like network, go to LinkedIn, or check with the school you're about to join. You can type their people's name, maybe Nigerians or African, with that name of the school. I'm so sure some people's name will pop up. So you try to like reach out to them and ask them for their help regarding accommodation. So I think I will stop here for now. Thank you.
Thank you for mentioning that. I think something just came to mind. Recently, someone got defrauded with the same accommodation thing, and it happens that the person actually went onto Facebook and then decided to book, and that person ended up losing the money because there were scammers here. So that is a caution. At the same time, an advice to us that in as much as we are trying to hook onto these social media platforms to do some of these bookings, we should just be mindful that we have like people out there who can actually scam us freely. Okay. I just want to pass on to Samson.
Okay.
Yeah.
So quite funny story. So I was a recipient of Liz Truss. So I was in the UK for my master's, and Liz Truss was the prime minister then, and she had a policy. They ended just a 2-year ban on. So before my program, there was a 2-year post-work visa for everyone who graduates from the UK. So it was interestingly during my year in 2018-19 that it was stopped. So the choice for me was either go back to Nigeria or get another opportunity. So it was that simple. And I honestly just followed every opportunity I could find. So I was applying everywhere, and God helping me, I got an opportunity in Canada. An interesting story about the very application that got me to Dal. I was doing exams. I mean, reading nocturnal as always, submitted a bunch of emails and went home, and only to get like an email in the morning saying you missed, for example, if the name was Ken, I probably typed Key. So the email bounced back. So the email to the supervisor didn't go through, and I was like going about my number. So it was a decision: should I resend this email, or should I just forget about it? Because I probably sent 10 anyways overnight. So if one bounced back, it's okay, right? So, but I don't know. I just decided to try one more time in the morning, and the rest is history. So the point here is persistence and determination. Still on top of your situation. And about finding accommodation, I think Fisayo has said it all, but I probably would emphasize that community is everything. Funny story about that too. So I got connected with someone who was already in the uni I was applying to via LinkedIn. A friend of mine knew somebody who had attended the same university, and I told him I was resuming, and he was like, okay, I can link you up with this person. And I'm like, okay, so how far is the train station to the campus, and how do you, and someone has probably spoken to him like just one time, and he was like, what do you mean train station? What do you mean this? And I'm like, how do we get to campus? And he was like, you know what? Don't disturb me. I've rented the house for you. When you come, so it was such a fun story. Yeah. But community is everything. And the point I'm trying to make here is a lot of people say you should network up, but I think peer mentoring is actually like a gold mine. So like myself, Ken, Fisayo, so like within your community, there's so much information to be honest. Rather than looking up, I think we should look at each other. So it's just something to adopt there.
Sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, and I believe we can see some commonalities between the views of Sam and then Fisayo. So I don't know, Sammy, would you want to add on something? Share your
Yeah,
experience.
definitely. So my own was a little bit of a different story. I'd always wanted a foreign education, but then I was sort of limited to the countries where I have some affiliation or attachment to, so to say. And so that was what I was focusing on. But then I think I then narrowed down my search to maybe universities and things like that. And so some way, somehow, University of Manitoba came up, and I was like, oh, okay, where's this university? Oh, it's in Canada. I've never heard of I've never heard of Canada before. I was like, okay, I'll give it a trial. And so I started, did all the application, and yeah, so finding a supervisor was like, was a little bit challenging at the beginning. So I reached out, no responses, or some code responses and things like that. But yeah, just like Dr. Samson said, persistence is key. So yeah, I sort of like was very rugged or or determined about my approach. So I sort of like reached out to everybody. Long story short, somebody decided to take me up, and yeah, and that was how I was able to get a master's program for the University of Manitoba. It was challenging at the beginning, but over time, yeah, things eased out pretty quickly. On accommodation, I would say I was very favored of God because my supervisor paid my first rent.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Very
he looked
appreciative.
for an accommodation for me, and he paid my first rent, and he was like, when you get your first stipend, then you can refund me. And so that
Okay.
was cool. Like the assistants picked me up from the airport, dropped me off in the rented apartment, and settling in was smooth. But before then, this is on networking. Networking is really key. And so I networked and, find out that there were some people who we are all connected to right now, who were within the community I was coming into. So it was more of a church community. And so, yeah, so that really helped out. I can remember one of my mentors took me on my first shopping. I can remember the clothes and and everything he bought for me. And so, yeah, so networking is key. I would say maybe in my own case, it was not peer to peer. It looked like I was networking up, and that sort of like worked
Okay.
for me. And so, yeah, I will just stop it at that. Thank you.
Okay. And thank you so much. Yeah, and we could still see some resemblance to what has already been shared. But I will just touch on something which has to do with the visa aspects. And one thing I would actually mention also is I believe the process is not so cumbersome. But there's been a lot of talk out there that, like, I don't know, like it's as if you can't do it yourself, but you have to look for a consultant to do it for you. I don't really believe in that. I think as long as you can read and you can understand, it shouldn't be something so difficult for you. My first time moving out to Norway, I did all the processes myself, with a friend. And so that is one thing I just want to touch about the virtual aspects. It's nothing so difficult. They've just given you steps that you have to follow, things that you have to go through in order to receive your documents. So in as much as you just read through, just make sure that you are doing everything in line to what has been prescribed. Aside that, Fisayo touched about quality and the flexibility. And I believe getting information about the countries that you intend to visit is very, very important. I remember when I went to Norway, there was a huge demand, and that is for you to speak the Norse. And that was something that we took for granted initially. But it was after we finished our master's program that I realized that the language has been tied to almost every employment opportunity.
Oh,
So you now realize that, oh, I have to start learning. I have to start learning the language. That was when I began to look elsewhere for an English speaking country. Um, and so through the networking opportunity, I had a friend. We're all classmates, and he was already here in Dalhousie. So he just sent me an opportunity, um, saying that his supervisor has an opportunity, so I could have a conversation with him. So I just had a conversation with him, and then like I just had that opportunity, and then I came over to Canada. So the networking is important, but I would, on top of all that has been said, I would say let's read about the countries that we want to, like, we intend to like pursue our academics in, because when you are done, what then happens? There are a whole lot of discussions around the postgraduate aspect, which becomes very challenging, and I believe we'll touch on that in this discussion. I think I'll just pass on to my co-host, that is Dr. Fisayo. So please, you can actually take over from here.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah, thank you, Ken. Sincerely, thank you for sharing. And I also want to thank Sam and Samuel as well for sharing their experience. So just to pick it up from where Ken stopped, I would just like to ask us to as well share how you were able to like manage your tuition. We all know the current rule, like international students can only work for 20 hours. So how were you able to cope with that? Did you do any part-time jobs while studying here? Something like that. So I just wanted to share from that. So maybe we start with Samuel.
okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Fisayo. Yes. So my program was fully funded. So that was my first source of income. And so at that time, I'm not sure right now, I think it has increased a little bit right now. But at that time, I can remember for my first year, I didn't do any other job outside of what I was earning. And that was sufficient for my tuition and for my feeding. But other than that, there are some other opportunities. Like in my department, we have what we call the graduate assistantship. So it's an opportunity where you sort of like assist a professor in classes, maybe help them with labs, help them with some sort of research, or if they are if they are teaching undergraduate classes, they are going on field tours and things like that. So you as a grad student become sort of like an helping hand for them. So sometimes some of them might just stay back, maybe in the department, and then you do the tours, or they stay back, you do the labs. Sometimes you're in other universities, you might be involved in some sort of teaching. And so that I must say that also depends on the university in which you are and in which country. In Canada, you can have your scholarship and have those on top. But in US, I think the system is a little bit different. But I know Dr. Samson might speak a little bit more to that because I was in the US for about 2 years. You do your research for your supervisor, so it's like a 50-50 kind of thing. Maybe half of your funding comes from your supervisor, the other half comes from teaching assistantship and stuff. So there's a way to split it up there in the US. So it's very important to look at the countries and what contributes to your whole scholarship thing. But I'm speaking from the Canadian experience. So for me, I had that funding from my supervisor. I could also work as a teaching assistant or something in the department. There are other little scholarship that I got. Say, for example, that time my program was focused on poetry, so there was some scholarship for poetry specific, students. So that was another source of funding for me then. And even on top of that, I was also able to work with the research station that was attached to the university for some years. So I think in my second year, things where I was pretty a big guy. So
Wow.
yeah. So I had all those extra source of funding, and my supervisor was so gracious that they didn't take away what he was paying for me, and I had those little on the side. So it depends. Let me clear this. It depends on who your supervisor is. It depends on the relationships you have with them. And so don't take that for a benchmark for every other supervisor. Because I had other students who there was another scholarship they called the I've forgotten the name of that scholarship right now. The university awards that scholarship. And so some of the supervisors, once you get that scholarship, they were withdrawing their own personal funding for those students. And so it depends on the supervisor, it depends on who you are dealing with. So that was my experience in terms of funding. It was pretty smooth and steady for me, but I know it might not be so for other people. So I'll leave it here so that other people can contribute to it.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. Wow. Okay, so we hand over to Samson. I know he has been all over, so just talk.
Okay. Before we move into that, I just wanted to say something about the application to follow up on that. So Neraland, if you're a Nigerian applicant, I think it's a good resource. There's a lot of information on Neraland for application, what to do, how to do it, success rates, DUI, and all of that. It's a knowledge hub. You can use that. Anybody can access Neraland, travel, Canada application and stuff. About this specific question, my experience is very similar to what Simon said. Grateful to my supervisor. I think my scholarship and funding was sufficient. The other part I wanted to talk about is, so I didn't really work in the first year, and I think it was in the second year, and this is the point I'm trying to make. I think you should be strategic about how you want your CV to look like. So it's not about the job. It's not about any odd job. It's not about working outside the campus. It's more about what skills, soft skills, hard skills do I need to incorporate? Because you can get the degree and the soft skills might be what is more important, right, on the job market.
Right.
So for me, I had the opportunity to be a student peer mentor with like the faculty and the college. So maybe in my second year, I tried to do a lot of extracurricular just to make sure that the soft skills I wasn't losing on that part of my CV. So I think I was a student peer mentor and a lot of student-led activities because I never knew, or I was probably navigating towards being an academic. So I tried to get as much student-oriented skills, people management skills. So for me, the emphasis was not on the job, but the skill set I could get from it. So I think being strategic is very important. But in terms of funding, I was grateful to my supervisor.
Wow. Thank you so much, Samson. Kenneth, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think they've actually said it all. I also did a number of all those things that have been mentioned, scholarships, everything. But there is one thing that I think Samson touched on, the skills and what do you think you'd wish your CV would look like. So I applied for a position that I felt I was not qualified for in the department, and that is to be a part-time instructor. But interestingly, I got the opportunity, and like that was like I think a very good thing for me, because you would handle the whole class. Everything is actually in your care, lecturing, lab sessions, everything is actually in your care, and you have to do everything by yourself. So like it gave me a very good opportunity to know like a bit of the detail, the intricacies of what goes into the lecturing and all the other aspects. I wasn't so much of a money conscious person. Um, so I would say the first thing I try to focus on is my academics. Um, Once my academics are good, if I have any spare time to do any other thing, that's fine. But if I feel like I don't have the time, then I just channel all my strengths into my academics. My supervisor, I really didn't have any issue with plans and then all of those things. But I believe our situations might be very different. And I know I've offered some advice to some people who have presented to me, I'll say situations of where they don't have money and they need to try and solve their fee situations. I've told them, fine, you can sit down with your supervisors. You can actually have this discussion with them. That yes, the funds you are providing to me may not be enough. And so maybe I will dedicate 3 days into coming to school, and then maybe those 2 days, if it works with you, I'll just try to find other sources of funds just to help me push through my academics. And I know some of these supervisors are very reasonable people and they really understand the concerns of students. So that's all that I would add to all that has been shared here.
Thank you so much, Kenneth, for sharing. I hope you guys are picking one or two things. Don't just pray for supervisor, but a gracious one, okay?
A good
Yeah,
one.
that is very important, you know. And while also trying to like work, doing some part-time jobs, don't just work on any job, but the skills are actually more important. And be strategic and have free talk with your supervisor, be sincere, be open up to your supervisor. All right, so because of our time, I will just move straight to some of the next points we have here. So the next question I will be asking us is, I just want us to share how was the academic system different from what you were used to, like coming from your country to Canada, anything like academic shock, or do you really experience anything that you feel like is different? And please, while sharing this, I also want you to touch like how you were able to also succeed academically. I know you guys have mentioned how you got like different scholarships. I'm so sure that those scholarships are well tied to your grade, right? Your performance. So please try to share to the audience as well how to succeed, you know, academically. Then I would also like to combine that getting to Canada as well. Like, did you really experience any isolation or culture shock or any health struggles? So I'll just combine all together. Yeah, thank you so much. And please, I would also like to remind us as we are talking, if you have any question, please kindly use the Q&A button. You will see it there. Just type your question there, then we can just respond to that. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I will call okay, Samson to just respond to those questions. Thank you.
Okay, so I think my experience in the UK made my study experience in Canada easier. So all of the academic shocks I had was in the UK. And I think I was sharing with a few friends yesterday. So Nigerian, a brilliant student is one who listens to what has been taught and gives the teacher the exact same thing. You're considered brilliant, right? But in the UK, it was totally different for me. I was taught in class, and when it comes to assessment, I gave my teachers the same thing I was taught, and the feedback were very horrible. I was like, there's nothing more. So the emphasis for academically was always critical reasoning. So I've taught you A, what do you do with A? It's more, what do you do with the information? So I had to do a whole mind shift for me, trying to do more with the information I've learned in class. Critical reasoning was the emphasis. So it was easier to then come to Canada because I already done a lot of written works, so it was easier to navigate the Canadian academic experience. But the shock for me was assessment was totally different, and how they grade and all was totally different. In terms of shock, it's called winter depression, vitamin D insufficiency. So I remember back in the UK, I think it was so after my graduation, I moved to Edinburgh University for some internship, and I had to leave home at 6 a.m. and I leave work at 6 p.m., meaning for 4 months, I don't see the sun. So, so I leave home at 6 a.m. I get back at 6 p.m. It's dark when I leave, and I'm in the building all through working in the lab. And when I leave work, it's also dark, so I don't see the sun. So it's some commonly tagged winter depression. So without sunlight, you just darkness to darkness, darkness to darkness. So, but with time, I've learned to deal with it. You have community, the internet is there for you. If you like reading, just get yourself busy and don't think about the weather. And obviously take your vitamin D supplements. Yeah, that's about the weather or culture shocks I had. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Samson, for sharing. Take vitamin D, it's important. In fact, I've never thought of that, All right, yeah, and community as well is very, very important. Yeah, I hope we are picking something. Kenneth, please, would you like to add to what Samson has shared?
Okay, thanks so much. And I think my experience is also similar to some. My very first shock actually took place in Norway. That was when I did my master's, and I think it was the first time I did a face-to-face exam. And so it's an oral exam, and that was the first time I've taken such an exam. But sincerely, I was really happy with that exam because I really made the professor understand what I mean. And that was very different from back home where it's always a written exam. I had this belief that sometimes it doesn't always go my way. But in front of the professor, I was able to really justify myself why I needed that day or why he should give me that day. So I believe the processes are a bit different. But one thing that really shocked me had to do with the level of reading. I believe that 2 years of study, I can't compare it to the 4 years of reading that I did in Ghana. That was because I could get up from morning from 7, I would read till I'm hungry. I'll go eat, come and sit down again, continue reading till evening. Like I read so much, and that was for me the toughest one. I think, and when it comes to the discrimination, I think we are human beings, and I know blacks, we are quite tough people. We are able to survive almost in every situation. So you might get people who are ordinarily very mean. You might get people who are ordinarily nice. And um, Like, I believe that also because of our background as maybe believers, it also informs the way we react or maybe attend to some of these things. So they are bound to happen, but when they happen, what are you supposed to do? Probably just move on here. So I have a very interesting friend called Deng, and he has a very cynical way of trying to react to some of these things. But I believe that here is more or less an educational platform, and we'll just say that those things would come, but just brush them off and just look at the goal. Yeah. So I'll just end it there.
Thank you so much, Kenneth. Few minutes. I don't know if Samuel wants to say something.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so for me, it was a combination of different things. So just imagine a co-supervisor that picked me up, from the airport, dropped me off, made sure I was settled in. And yeah, the next day, I believe that was the following week. And so, in trying to show some sort of respect and things like that, I was doing things like sa, ma, and all those kind of
Okay,
things. And so
just comment.
I guess that continued for like a week, right? And so this person could not just take it anymore. And the person just called me, my co-supervisor just called me and said, I know you are culturally oriented and things like that, but don't use sir for me anymore. Just call me by my name. And I was like, how is that possible? Like I can like it's just very
Some
difficult for me to do.
some I had a very similar experience. My professor actually called me, and then sat us down. He was like, he knows Africans culturally, but over here, just address me by my test. And I'm like, no, I can't. So I'll just call you by the name, like just pro, and that's all. And he said, okay, he's okay with it.
Yeah, and so this person just told me just call me by my name. Like I just found it hard to comprehend. Like this is difficult for me. And so I just settled that, okay, instead of calling you by your name, I will always just put your title in front. Like it's just very hard for me to,
Sure.
to
Just
comprehend.
call
And
you.
so all the time I'll say Dr. this, Dr. that, Dr. this, and Dr. that. Yeah, so that was one of the, cultural shift and shocks for me that, that I had to deal with, coming in. My
Yeah.
first year was a little bit rough, just like I mentioned, that difference is, the graduate study is more, just like Dr. Samson said, is more intuitive. And so some of the time, even some of your exams are just presentations and things like that. And, having some strong accents and things like that, proved very difficult at that beginning. But, over time, um, we eased into it, and I believe that would be the same for you guys. So just understand it's not give and take. It's not what you just put in your head, la crème la pour. Yeah, that's what we call it. Yeah. But when you come, you have to make research, prepare PowerPoint slides. If you don't know how to do that right now, just please start learning those skills. You have to make presentations by yourself in group and things like that. That is how the learning year is. And so we need to begin to, step up to that. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. And just to add to that, I think the learning style as well. My major shock as well was when I was in China. I remembered like after meeting my supervisor, he told me like, oh, this is the topic you will be working on. Then after that, they took me to the lab and you just have to
That's
do
all.
something, right? Yeah, unlike the country I was coming from, Nigeria, was quite different. Like you see your supervisor, you ask your supervisor many questions and all that. But graduate study, like what Samuel talked about, it's not like that. Like you have to be determined. It's your choice that you want to study more, you want to do masters, or you want to do PhD. So you must learn how to do the research on your own. You don't go to your supervisor every second asking questions. What is this? You just have to use your brain, at least do some kind of thinking on your own, Yeah, because for me, when I was like, oh, so what will I do? I just had to like do some of the readings. Then I was working on microbiome. It was my first time to work on that. So for weeks, I was just going to the school library. I got so many textbooks on microbiology. Because my background was majorly like animal science, but the project is still animal science, but it's just microbes in chicken. So I got so many textbooks in microbiology, reading for weeks, just for me to understand that part. So it's like an extra work, so you just have to do that. Because in fact, China is kind of unique in a way that if it's a country that if you ask questions, maybe from your lab mate, for example, if you come today, you ask them question, tomorrow you ask them question, they will just judge you like, oh, maybe you are a dullard, you don't know anything. Some people can even tell you that, oh, I remember I had one senior then, she was doing a PhD. I will ask her question like, oh, I'm making some preparations in the lab. Could you tell me the concentration I need to mix together? She'll be like, oh, right now I cannot talk. Before I talk the next week. I'm like, oh, I'm doing something right now. So should I wait till next week before I complete my work? So those are just some of the shocks, So you just have to be responsible, determined, and I pray that God will help us as well. All right.
Amen.
So because of our time, I can see some questions in the Q&A section, so we get to that. I just want us to also share on the like navigating immigration rules as well, and policy change as well. Like I know some of us, we are like recent graduates, so I just want you to share if you were impacted by the recent PR changes. Also, I want you to also mention like career preparation. Maybe if you like to share how you land your first job, then some of the challenges that you face as an international graduate in the Canadian job market. So if you love to share that and just combine it to how you navigate those parts, like emotionally, practical experience, yeah, we would really love that. Yeah, thank you so much. And just to add to that, there's something interesting here. I would love you to also add like if your original goals shifts over time or you are still on the regal. Yeah, thank you. So I think Kenneth can go first.
Okay. Yeah. So I would just say something a little bit about the immigration aspects and the postgraduate stuff. And what I would say is it's a big deal. To put it mildly, I would say it's a big deal. And it's just like you not having documentation and then still expecting to um, be living in a place. So it becomes a matter of the law and you might be dealt with. Um, and so what I think I would provide an advice on is as much as possible, in as much as you receive your visa, you receive your documentation, please um take note of the dates. If you can even try and set reminders or something, it's very important because you have, I'll say, a window whereby you can apply for, like, I'll say, a renewal. And when that window closes, it becomes exceedingly difficult to be able to get some of those documentations rectified. The problem I realized with me was I wanted to travel, and then it was when I made like my mind to travel, that was when I realized that I was late on some of my renewal processes. So had I traveled out of the country, I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to return. And thankfully, I checked my documents, I think about 4 months to the time. And that gave me enough room to prepare and get those documents renewed before I made a travel outside of the country. So I'll say for some of these things, we are living in our country. Really, we don't have to submit any paper for renewal because we are citizens of that country. But when you travel outside of the country, it becomes a different ballgame altogether. Those documents becomes very important, becomes very key. And it's important that you have to actually amend some of those things. I think I'll just leave it here for someone else probably to.
Yeah, thank you so much. Samson, please, can you just add something to that?
I think there's a lot of question packed in one. The first thing I would say, make AWA the sunshine in terms of immigration. I'm sure myself and Ken will probably have been citizens a long time. If we had used our masters to apply for the immigration, like, so I procrastinate. People we came from the UK together were citizens long before I applied for my papers or anything like that. Because I thought, well, let me get my PhD. There's still time. There's still time. The truth is, immigration laws are constantly changing. Take opportunity when you can. Also, you talked about navigating the job market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How you land this job, shocks.
Yeah, if our stories might be different, but for me, it probably wasn't an easy one. I had to do a postdoc and all of that. There'll be a lot of application. We have said it before now, persistence, and sometimes you might need to like hone your skills and probably even change directions. And I had to do. I saw during the CAUT we talked about PAG. I had to sometimes I introspect and ask myself, oh, why am I not getting a job? Okay, let me do the PHAG. I got that in Ontario. Okay, let me do the PMP. Sometimes you just need to like keep on developing skill sets and make yourself better to employer. Also, it might be like studying microbiome now. It's had very little to do with my PhD. Even my supervisor at some point paid for me to learn it, and I probably did not take judicious use of that opportunity. Then post-graduation, I had to self-learn on bioinformatics skills on YouTube, and thankful to some Indian whiskets, I had to self-learn and now that is what got me employed. So sometimes you might need to go outside your comfort zone. And yeah, I'm sure there's a lot to say more, but for time, I'll just keep it simple.
Wow. Thank you so much, Samson and Kenneth. Immigration laws keep changing, persistency, keep developing skill set. Those are important points. Samuel, please, will you just like to add something to that as well, please?
Yeah, a very quick one. So, for me, my own story was different, and I'm not going to tell you about my story. But then, I'm going to tell you the secret behind it. Yeah, some way, somehow, when I came, I diffused into the community where I found myself. Actually, I just quickly ease into my community, make friends within my community. I'm talking about my Christian community and things like that. And from there, I got married and
Wow. Really
and yeah, so I sort of like God just helped me to cruise that stage easily without any easily at the beginning, but that didn't spare me of immigration troubles. Yeah, I still had a lot of immigration issues because when I finished my master's and now coming to the career direction, so I always wanted to be a monogastric nutritionist, and because my focus was on poultry nutrition at that time. And so I thought that getting an experience in swine nutrition would, sort of like seal that up for me. And that was the reason why I went to South Dakota State. So went to South Dakota State for 2 years. I was in that program, but yeah, I had to pull back on family stuff. Like I had to come back, settle down with the family and things like that. Immigration issue was still persisting and stuff. But long story short, even when I came back, I was still trying to enter the academic space here in Canada. It was difficult. Sometimes when you go out and you try to come back to Canada, it's very, very difficult. I know the United States have a lot of opportunities, and maybe if you go and come back, you could easily ease in, but Canada it is. So I had to start building my profile again, like start from the scratch. thank God for networking. When I was a student, I networked with the people I worked with as a student. And so when I was looking for opportunities back in Canada, I reached out to them. And when something came up and they were, they were so grateful to let me know about it, I started again from the scratch and gave all my best to rebuilding and rebuilding my career again. But then I was still focused on going back to academics. So just I think earlier this year, my mentor called me and told me that looks like over the years you have built a lot of experience in the industry. Why not just continue in that direction? And before that time, I've been thinking in that line. And so that was sort of like, a confirmation for me. So it's very important to have career mentors, so that you are not struggling all alone. And so I channel all that effort in that direction. And yeah, I became more relevant in the industry, even right now. So sometimes situations or circumstances will come your way that would help you, to sort of like re-strategize, reprioritize, reorient yourself, and you keep going. And so after all the said and done, when I came back and I was sort of like having a retrospect on how everything had happened in the past, so it was just a way of God making me to sort of like learn some lessons. So all the experience, all the swine production, whatever experience I was looking for, it just became evident to me that I can just get them in the industry. Like I don't necessarily have to go through the academics at that particular point in time. And so all those experience, sort of like accumulated into where I am right now. So sometimes you'd have to rephrase or re-strategize. So that's the word. Networking, mentorship, all very important in your career success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samuel. If you have not picked anything since we started, just pick networking. Networking. Don't succeed in isolation. Like networking, it's actually very important, and career mentorship. Just to have some final word from our panelists before we move to the information on the Oates College, I would just like to ask Kenneth, like, what's one thing you wish you had known at the start?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Word for the audience.
I would say the one thing I would have wished I known from the start was to start early.
Deep.
Start early.
Start
Yeah.
early. Wow.
Yeah. Sometimes just like Samson ended with that last thoughts that we never knew we could have actually applied with an MSc. We're all waiting leisurely. And so we got to the last and then we knew, oh, if we had known, we could have used another approach. So I believe that one regret is if we had known, and that is when you start early, you would know. By networking, by having interactions, you get to know the nitty-gritties of what you need. So for me, I'll say the only regret is I didn't start some of the things very early. But had I known, I would have started them early. Yeah.
Thank you for that. To Samson, what I would just like to ask you, like, what's your top tip for succeeding and thriving in Canada as an international student? I know you mentioned part of that, but just like a summary to our audience as a take home.
I'll probably just say three things that just comes to mind, and we probably said it, but I just want to emphasize again: community. It's very important. I'm sure Kenneth can relate with the stress moments. Yeah, like grad school was so fun because of the people I was in there with. So community, mentorship is like Samuel said. Yeah, my supervisor, people I met, mentorship. There are times you get to the crossroads and you just need to seek people who have gone ahead of you and stand on the shoulders of giants, right? Mentorship is also very important. And the last thing, we don't know the end from the beginning, right? It's okay. It's okay. There's a quote that says we cannot start from now and have a brand new starting, but we can start from now and have a brand new ending. So things will always go the way God wants it. I think I've stopped worrying and start being thankful, because I probably thought my life would be in Canada right now, and I'm outside Canada. So I think the best is do your best and trust and just leave things to happen, but do your very part. That's the most important thing. Things happen, just go with it. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. And to Samuel, I don't know if you would like to encourage students who are currently struggling. Any word for them? If we have any students here that are currently struggling.
Okay, so if there's any student here currently struggling, never give up. I can see in the question and answer, somebody is just waiting for one single yes. And I'm telling you, that yes is going to come. Never give up. Never, never give up. Don't give up on your dreams. Don't let challenges or situations to make you back down. Never give up. That would be my one word advice to those who are struggling.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And just to add to what Samson said, you know, for me, I used to say that our life is like a script in the hand of God. No matter where you are today, you might have your dreams and maybe you are not yet there. Don't be discouraged. Just keep trying, keep pushing till you are able to get to your final destination. Right now, I would like to hand over to Kenneth just to take over. And thank you so much for listening. Over to Kenneth.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fisayo. And it's been a very insightful and interesting conversation we've had, sharing experiences all around. So at this point, I would just want us to, I would want to introduce us to some opportunities. I know there's been some questions, some demand for like opportunities. You guys share with us opportunities. Yes, there are opportunities, and so there is this program that IYCA is running with Olds College, and that is they are offering like I would say an agribusiness degree opportunity. And with this program, you would have to actually meet some qualifications. So after your eligible candidacy is confirmed, you can gain entrance into this program. That's a Bachelor of Applied Science in Agribusiness at Olds College in Alberta, Canada. But if you want some more information about this particular program, we would encourage you to visit the website for some more information regarding the different entry points, entry programs, entry levels, and what it has to do about this program. So we'll just encourage you to actually try and apply if you are here in Canada or maybe outside of Canada. If you meet those eligibility, why not? You'll be considered for selection. There is also another opportunity for summer students. And the interesting thing, just a moment. Yeah. So there is a summer opportunity and internship where students can actually work like either remotely or in person for a period, and there are some demand. My system seems to be failing me just a moment. Yep. Yep. So it's a summer project intern, and that is remote and field based. And the key rules about this particular summer program is to support projects planning and communication, assist with logistics, speed trials and youth programs, and promote the program through social media events. And the ideal candidates, we are hoping to recruit someone between the ages of 15 to 30 years old, someone who is very organized, creative, and passionate about agri-innovation, strong communication and teamwork skills, and legally entitled to work in Canada. So sorry to those probably who are outside. It's more or less open to those who are here in Canada. Yeah. So it's something that you can check out. There is more information about this on the ICAO website page. And there are also lots of opportunity as well. job opportunities, probably scholarship opportunities. If you have, I would say, specific questions, specific inquiries, you send us an email. And I know there will be some responses, and you can even be connected to resource personnel who could help you with those specific challenges. I know sometimes there's been issues about immigration. We don't actually speak for immigration, but we can connect you to some individuals who are qualified to actually respond to some of those concerns. So I believe I've shared those information. I Barsamol, is there
Can I
something you
can
want
I
to jump
can I
in?
just
Yeah,
add something to
sure.
so I majority of the questions we have been receiving is about opportunities. And so I believe the one Dr. Kenneth just shared is a really great opportunity that everyone can take advantage of. Whether you've had a foreign degree in agriculture, you are entering the third year of a Canadian agricultural degree. You only have to pay for that third year. The fourth year, you'll be working in some sort of co-op or internship opportunity, and that is paid. So that is expected to cover your tuition for the fourth year. And once you are done, you have a Canadian degree. That alone exposes you to so many opportunities here, right here. Like you'll be trained in the Canadian way, and yeah, you would have a lot of opportunities to apply for jobs. So instead of just sort of like going through another full degree again, maybe a master's, especially for people who have had master's or even PhD from their own countries. This is a really great opportunity that you can take advantage of. And so if you do you want to know more about these, just send an email to admin@iyca.ca. admin@iyca.ca. We are sorry for those people who are asking for personal cell phone numbers. We don't share phone numbers here. Just send an email to admin@iyca.ca, and then somebody will be happy to respond to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Samuel. And so, having shared all this information, we just want to thank everyone for joining us today. And we hope that you found this session very enlightening, informative as well. As we conclude, we would just like to say that all this information that has been passed, please try as much as possible that you visit the website. As I'll say some of these information is actually uploaded over there, so you could dig a bit more into them. You can find more information on future webinars and resources by visiting the IYCA webpage. As I know, we have another web series slated for next month. And for those preparing for interviews, we encourage you to reach out for tips and for free mock interviews, whether experienced panels or interviewers. We are happy to help you succeed in every way possible. And we also invite you to connect with us on LinkedIn to expand our professional network. Remember, you can listen to this webinar again by visiting our podcast on Spotify, and not just this webinar, but the subsequent webinars as well. You can always listen to them. And the profile is IYCA AYCA podcast. That is Agri Conversations. So all these informations, you can actually find them on the website. So there's a lot of information on the website available at your disposal. Thank you once again for your participation, and we look forward to seeing you at our next event. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Bye.